Oh, I am definitely almost not on my microphone. Switching over to that. Okay, hello nobody. I decided not to advertise this because I don't want to, you know, uh, spam my own content. I don't know. I've got about 2 hours here. I do want to get some playing done. But before we get some playing done, I'm actually filling out my playlist a little bit. I went and found some music that I can use that's royalty free and is hopefully what I'm looking for. A new beginning update. And one of my inspirations for this show is no one can know about this. Uh, no one can know about this is a audio only let's play about two guys playing through every Final Fantasy game. It's really a lot more than that. But one of the things they do that I really like is they don't only they don't only record themselves playing the games. They record themselves going out and buying the games. They sometimes record themselves eating meals between the games, ordering food, things like that. So you get a weird, kind of funny snapshot of their life and things like that. I don't know how much of the exactly out of game stuff I'm going to be recording, but sometimes I record myself while I look for music and things like that. I think probably I'll talk to some of my friends about the game once in a while and things like that. But so I think if I just click this playlist and then I'm hoping. Can I put the playlist on sequential playback? Sound sequential shuffle tracks simul. And I can't even hear the music. Is that because there is no music? Are my headphones on? Why can't I hear the music? My desktop audio is going wild. So they're clearly... I'm gonna play just a random... YouTube video for just a second. I'm not getting any sound out of that. Why am I not getting sound? YouTube video for just a second. Okay, I'm an idiot. I just had the volume thing on my headset itself turned off. So, that was a fun moment of haha hilarious mess up. It's those kinds of things that get included on No One Can Know About This that make it really funny. So, I don't know. The other thing, though, that makes No One Can Know About This really funny is that there are two people, and they're both very funny. And I'm one person, and I don't know if I am very funny, so I don't know. I also need to plug my headset in, so give me just one moment here. Okay, we are plugged in. My microphone is positioned in front of my face. We've got some music. Ah, there's the music. That is violin. Yeah. Okay. So, yesterday, I'm going to turn that down even a little bit more. Yeah, okay. So, yesterday, we played, and our main character, Milton Marks, had quite the day. We left off with him going to the police station with the intention to talk to Seth Hounds. However, when he got there, there was another person there who was looking to bail Seth Hounds out. And so they had a little bit of a conversation in the lobby, and the person said, "Hey, my name is Benjamin Banks. I need to talk to Seth as well. Why don't you both come for a ride with me?" And that's where we left it. So I have this image now of the three of them walking out of the police station. I think Seth Hounds is still rubbing his wrists a little bit where he was cuffed. And Benjamin leads the way to the car and starts getting into the driver's seat when Seth says, "No way, I drive." And Benjamin says, "I think you'll find that this is my car. And I know what's going on with you. I'm not letting you drive." And Seth says, "I'm driving." And they have a moment of conflict with each other. Benjamin is a follower of the lonely. I guess maybe occultist is the phrase I am. I kind of shied away from looking at the phrase cultist, but I was flipping through like the Magnus Archives monsters, and there are cultists in the monster list, although I didn't notice if there were any cultists of the lonely. But there are cultists. Is Benjamin a cultist? I kind of like him as more of like a courier who's in the know. I think that's more of what he is. I don't know that he's a cultist per se. But my question is, and I'm going to ask Mythic this question, can Benjamin stand against Seth in this moment of confrontation? I think I think it could go either way. I think it's just a 50-50 roll. Our chaos factor is 5. No. So Seth is like, "I'm driving." And Benjamin's like, "I think you'll find it's my car. And I know what's going on with you. You are not driving." And Seth steps forward and just stares him dead in the eyes and says, "I'm driving." And Benjamin looks at him, and they exchange eye contact for a second, and then Benjamin flinches, and he says, "Fine. Fine. Fine. It's fine." And he goes around and gets into the passenger seat, leaving the back seat for our hero, Milton Marks. I don't know that he's much of a hero. Our character, Milton Marks. Milton gets into the back of the car. They all shut their doors. Everyone but Seth fastens their seatbelts. Seth does not fasten his seatbelt. And Seth just starts driving down the road away from the police station. This is in Somerville, so there's a lot of traffic and things like that. Seth looks over at Benjamin and says, "Talk." And Benjamin says, Okay. Oh, one of the things I want to mention is that while we're in the car, we are in horror mode. So this is horror mode 2. That means that instead of getting free GM intrusions for when we roll ones, we get free GM intrusions for when we roll 1 and 2s. The way horror mode works is during an adventure, every time it would be activated or activated again, it goes up by another step. And it just ratchets up the tension a little bit, things like that. So we're in horror mode 2 right now. Seth looks over at Benjamin and says, "Talk." And Benjamin says, okay, look. I know what happened when you went to Mr. Peterson's house, and I'm not saying that it's your fault, but it's something that should never have happened. Mr. Peterson was supposed to be trapped in that house, and you let him out. And Seth says, "The hell I did! I didn't do anything but my job." And Benjamin says, I know. As I said, I don't think it's your fault, but you let him out. And I think Milton is listening. I think he's almost an observer in this point. But I do want to make a move here. I do want to make a meddling move to see if he can find a clue during this conversation. And to see how long the conversation can go for and see what he can get. So, I think this is just like an observation check. I think this is an intellect-based check. It is a difficulty 4. That's where we're at. So if he fails it, then like there's going to be some kind of complication. Probably like the car will start going faster and things like that. The meddling move. When you search for a clue, conduct research or gather information. Describe how you're doing so. He is listening. We're going to make a roll. Difficulty 4. Wow. Okay. This is a difficulty +2. So he gets a clue. He also gets a cipher. And this is the first cipher that I've given out in this game, which is not like how the rules work. Seth or Milton should have had a bunch of ciphers, but I didn't figure that out last time. Because, you know, I'm a little bit playing by the seat of my pants. Ciphers in this game are not generally physical objects. They're more like flashes of insight or twists of luck or the elder god identities twisting fate around you sort of thing. So let's roll a 1d100. This is a 71, which is the show must go on. Show must go on. As show must go on. Level is 1d6, so let's roll 1d6. It is a level 3 cipher. Equipment, ciphers. His cipher limit is 3, not 2. Show must go on. Okay. This is a level 3 cipher effect. You spot an untended ladder, hard hat, clipboard and pen, cleaning cart and apron, or whatever is appropriate to the... Okay, I'm just going to copy and paste this, and then I'll read it instead of reading while I type, because that's a mess. Copy and paste. Here we go. Can I wish that wasn't bold. Okay. Tasks. Okay. So So, you spot an untended ladder, hard hat, clipboard, cleaning cart, or whatever is appropriate to the circumstances that, once obtained, allow you and up to 2 allies to slip into a building without drawing attention. If your entrance is challenged by guards or others monitoring the area, you and your allies' disguise and or deception tasks are eased by 2 steps. The benefit of this cipher usually lasts for several hours. So it'll last for like an entire party night or something like that. That's a really neat cipher that would have been... I guess he rolled okay getting into the hospital, but that would have been a good place for it. Okay, so he gets a cipher. He gets a clue, which I marked down here. Let's find out what the specific clue he gets is. I've got 15 clues here, and I really think that almost any of them fit. So let's just roll a d15. I rolled a 5. Okay. The clue is... that the rear view mirror reveals an extra person in the back. A charred, featureless figure is sitting upright. It says upright on the stretcher, but we're not in an ambulance right now, so he's sitting... featureless figure is sitting... I just in the back seat. Okay. We have 2 clues now. That means that we are a third of the way through solving this mystery. Yeah, so Seth says, talk. And Benjamin says, okay, look. This never should have happened. Seth is mad. He's like, how dare you accuse me of letting him out? I was just doing my job. And Benjamin's like, I know, but he was never supposed to get out. And now that he has, well, he's spreading. And to make things worse, what he's done to you, Seth, is unconscionable. He has turned you into an abomination. And Seth is like, he turned me into what? And he's getting angrier and angrier as this conversation is going on. And he swerves out of traffic and just rams the gas down the bus lane, down the, it's like a combined bus and bike lane. And he just slams the gas pedal down and drives down this bus lane. I think a couple of bikes have to jump out of the way. Does he hit anyone? I think it is likely that he hits someone. He does. He hits a biker who goes flying. Milton is going to take another stress from watching someone get smashed by Benjamin's car. Seth doesn't even pause. He just slams the brake on harder. And he says, they'll move if they know what's good for them. And as he says that, smoke is starting to come off of him and fill the car with that acrid scent. And Benjamin says, this is what I'm talking about, Seth. This thing you're doing right now, you're out of control. And Seth says, I don't lose control. And he has both his hands on the driver's wheel. He smashes the gas even harder and goes up onto an entrance ramp onto the highway where he goes 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 miles an hour faster, weaving in and out of cars, every moment threatening to crash into something, barely managing to keep control of the car. And I think that Benjamin's looking at the speedometer, and Milton kind of follows his gaze, and we see that the numbers are flickering on the speedometer so that sometimes we're going 100, other times the speedometer is showing like impossible speeds like 330, 400. The needle is flickering back and forth wildly. Seth is going to take an action here. I think he's just going to try to convince Seth to slow down. That's really like all he can think to do right now. He's like looking out the window and he desperately wants to be the sort of person that could roll out of a car, but it's just going way too fast. If he rolled out of the car, he would die, and he's not willing to do that. And he's like, well, I could like try to choke him out, but then we're going to crash. So for this time, he's just going to try to convince Seth to pull over, to slow down. This is going to be using the night move. When you do something risky or face something you fear, name what you're afraid will happen if you fail or lose your nerves. The keeper will tell you how it is worse than what you fear. So no matter what Milton is thinking might be the bad thing that happens, it is worse than that. You can choose to back down or go through with this. If you go through with it, roll an appropriate ability. So I am going to say, Milton thinks that even if he fails, the worst that's going to happen is that Seth just keeps driving, right? But it's worse than we fear for two reasons. One, we see Milton and Benjamin haven't noticed, but that like fire smell is also coming from the seatbelts, and the seatbelts are fraying and burning, and they're not going to hold during an accident. And it's worse than we fear because this is a chance that Milton might distract Seth enough to cause an accident. This is an intellect check. It is a difficulty 4. I am going to spend 2 intellect to spend some effort on this. That's going to bring it down to a 3. So I want a difficulty 3, or what I really want is a difficulty 5. That would give me a bonus. But so let's just roll intellect here. Ooh, a 4. That's bad. I'm going to spend an XP and reroll it. Okay. That beats a difficulty 3. So, if you beat the difficulty, you do what you intended or you hold steady. Describe what it looks like. And the truth of the matter is that this was never going to work. Just talking to Seth isn't going to work. But Milton doesn't panic. He just joins Benjamin in saying, Seth, you've got to pull over. Benjamin will tell us what's going on. You've just got to pull over. And Seth looks at him in the rearview mirror. And that's when we see the two figures, both Milton in the back, but sitting next to Milton is the pale, featureless form of Mr. Peterson smoking in the back seat. And Seth looks back and he says, I can't slow down now. If I slow down, he'll take more of me. I'm not giving more of myself away. And he keeps driving, although the speed kind of levels out a little bit. He's not going faster. He's just not slowing down. And he looks over at Benjamin and says, tell me what you need. And Benjamin says, okay, look, what you are right now, you're like two souls riding in one body. And Seth says, no, duh, he rides with me. I know the words, I know where he is. And Benjamin says, but he can't. You have to stop it. You have to put him back in the house. That's where he belongs. And Seth says, why would I do that? And Benjamin says, because if you don't, you are going to die. And Seth says, Seth says, well, maybe I like it. Maybe I would rather die than going back to what I was. And it's Milton who steps in here and says, but you just said you feel like you're losing more of yourself whenever you slow down. And Seth glowers at him a little bit, and he says, okay, fine, I get what you're saying, but I wouldn't even know how to put him back in the house. And Benjamin says, well, you have to go back to the house. You have to go back to the house and erase the words. And Seth looks at him and says, erase the words? The ones burned into my back? And Benjamin nods, yes, those ones. And how would I do that? And Benjamin sighs and says, well, you're not going to like the answer to that. And Seth glares at him and says, tell me. And Benjamin says, well, you have to erase them or make them unreadable. If it was me, well, I suggest acid. And Seth howls in rage, and the rage seems to make Mr. Peterson stronger. His form grows a little bit more solid in the mirror, and the car slams forward, out of control now. Seth isn't even the one driving. And we're back to Milton needing to make another night move to stop things. But this time it can't just be talking. He looks at Benjamin and he says, like, almost whispers. Actually, I think, like, he mimes, like, putting his elbow around his neck and then points at Benjamin and at the wheel to be like, if I choke him out, can you control the car enough to stop us from crashing? Like, that's where we're at right now. That's kind of how urgent this situation is. And I think also Milton is taking a stress. Well, I'm keeping him at impaired, I guess. Well, this goes to debilitated. However, we're going to use a cool thing in a second here. He's so stressed, but he points at his neck, he points at the thing, and Benjamin nods. And so Milton is going to make a night move to try to choke Seth out so that the car will stop. That's what he wants. The thing he's fearing is that it's going to be an accident. But things are way worse than that. If this fails, there's going to be an accident. Like, I think at this point if he succeeds, maybe there's not. But if he fails, there's going to be an accident. But also, Mr. Peterson's influence is going to spread to everyone in the car. It's like going to spread from Seth. One of the things you can do in Magnus Archives is you can burn a level of stress to make a roll a step easier. However, if you do that, the GM gets a free intrusion. We are going to do that right now. This is going to be a might roll. It's a difficulty 4. I have 2 levels of stress, which actually means it's a 6. I burn a level of stress, which brings it down to a 5. And then I'm going to spend 3 might to bring it down to a 4. I have no experience. This goes back to impaired, which actually means it's a 5. I think this might be the end of Milton almost right here. We will see though. So this is a difficulty 5 roll. I have to roll a 15 or higher. And I have no way of bringing it back down here. No, I don't think I do. 15. No, I rolled a 6. So, Milton reaches around the car, wraps the crook of his arm around Seth's neck, and just starts trying to choke him out from the back seat. Seth flails wildly. The car spins out of control. It smashes into a metal wall. They're on a bridge. It smashes into the wall, and then the car goes flying over the side of the bridge, flipping like just flipping end over end over end until they slam into the ground. And as they slam into the ground, in the rear view mirror, while the car is in free fall, we get a picture of Mr. Peterson just throwing up all over the place, and the vomit covers Milton and the vomit covers Benjamin, and they could both die here. This entire car could die right here, as they smash into things here. I have to look and see taking damage. Serious injury. When a physical wound or injury is greater than those that inflict 3 points of stress, it is referred to as a serious injury. To reflect that, PCs have a damage track: hail, impaired, debilitated, dead. When a character suffers a serious injury, they move one step down the track. So we are going back to debilitated. And, yeah. He doesn't die. Does Benjamin survive? I think the answer to this is likely. Okay. Does Seth survive? I think the answer to this is nearly certain. Okay, so everyone survives. Milton is going to need to make a roll to avoid being possessed. This is going to be another night move. I think also as the car crashes, we're moving horror mode up to 3. So now if I roll a 3 or less... there's also a free GM intrusion from Burning the Stress. The GM intrusion. So I think the GM intrusion is that not only does Milton have to roll against being possessed by Mr. Peterson, that was going to happen anyways, but now he risks drawing the attention of the desolation itself. This is going to be an intellect roll to avoid being possessed. It's a difficulty 4. Even if he succeeds, he is going to take stress from having to deal with this. I am going to burn 2, so we're down to 8 intellect to bring the check down to a 3. I am debilitated. You know what? I am debilitated. I don't know that I can roll. Can't take actions other than moving. I am going to let him roll. But he's also got a level of stress. So it goes back up to a difficulty 4. And because he's debilitated, it's a difficulty 5. Like, he's barely holding on to consciousness as Mr. Peterson throws up all over him. That does not beat a difficulty 4. He is possessed by Mr. Peterson, and he has drawn the attention of the desolation. So let's put that in here. After a car crash, Milton takes serious. Milton is seriously hurt, and he is both possessed by Mr. Peterson and has drawn the attention of the desolation itself. That's going to make his life more complicated. He didn't die, though. He's debilitated. This is a car accident. Ambulances get called. I think the question is Seth still there when the ambulance is called? And I think the answer to this is very unlikely. Ooh, exceptional, yes. So Seth survived the accident, but he is super hurt. Both legs shattered, kind of hurt. He's stuck in the car. The next question is Benjamin here? And I think it's nearly impossible that Benjamin would still be here. He is not, and I think he's also stuck in the car, but I think we see the car fill with fog, and for a moment it's almost just like Mr. Peterson's smoke is what it looks like, but then it grows a little bit colder, a little bit damper, and then as it clears away, Benjamin is gone, as if he was never there at all. This did not go well. We're increasing the chaos factor to 6. Milton is going to the hospital. He's going to need to recover. Restoring the damage track. A debilitated character typically needs 2 full days of inactivity to move to impaired. A treatment from someone skilled in medicine, like a doctor, can reduce it to a day. Then at least 1 more full night's rest is going to get Hale. I think he's looking at spending 3 days in the hospital. But I think these are maybe good days for him. I think he doesn't even have... He's got his phone with him. Did his fancy phone survive the accident? I think it is very unlikely. Yeah, so he doesn't even have his phone with him. He's completely disconnected from the internet for maybe the first time in years. And that lets him recenter himself. Also during this time, he starts realizing that, he's in this. Before he knew he was in this, he felt trapped by it. I think he still feels a little bit trapped by it. But before it was a panic sense, and now it's a determination sense. I am stuck in this, but I have to find my way out of it. And I will find my way out of it. So we're going to let him recover all of his stress. after 3 days, we're going to let him go all the way back up to Hale. But I want to give him like a random body part. Like, let's roll 1d6 and see. So, like, body parts are like left arm, right arm, left leg. His left leg is broken. Broken left leg. That's just going to, like, when he makes rolls, especially speed rolls, that the leg would affect him with, it would require him, it would give him a negative. There's a way to say that in cipher terms, and I am completely losing track of what that term is. It's getting a... It's not an asset, it's the opposite. It hinders. It will hinder his rolls by 1 when he makes checks that rely on his broken leg and stuff. So, he's got to come up with a plan here. Let's first just test the scene of, does Milton, like, the next scene is just Milton recovering in the hospital. Is that fine? The scene was interrupted by an NPC action. Attach military. No, we're getting spammed. I have to... How did I do that the other day? Final faucet doesn't have a way for me to block them. Why can't I block final faucet? Oh well, I'm not going to worry about it for now. There's literally no one in chat here but me, so I'm not that worried about it. Attach and military. I think this is something that happens while Milton isn't even awake. He's asleep on painkillers, recovering from the accident. When we get a military guy who comes into the hospital and attaches a tracking device on Milton's... he puts it in Milton's shoe. We want to put this in notes here. I don't know exactly what's going to happen with this, but... During hospital stay, a military guy, I think a military girl, guy, transgender person, 1d3, girl, a military woman, sneaks into his room and plants a tracking device in Milton's shoe. This is a follower of the Desolation. Okay. I actually super need to go to the restroom, and I actually feel like this is a decent place to stop. So we only played for about 40 minutes or so, but we had some interesting progression. Milton was in a car accident, and yeah, I'm going to end this here. Thanks.